Hey everybody, Potsy here. Hey, let me let me give you a good little story here on what happened to us out in Utah. The TJ, well, she did a great job, and we did over 1,300 miles of trails in July. And what sent us home early was the steering shaft, and it was the high dollar Borgeson upper and lower steering shaft assembly on the Jeep here. And I tell you what, thank God that Michael and I were able to figure a way to get us out at 14 miles back in the Blue Notch Canyon. And anyways, we were able to get out, and then a good friend of mine that I know from Moab, Rory, I know him well enough that I stop in and say hi to him from time to time when I'm out there. I was able to contact him via my InReach Garmin, and he started to come get us. And we made our way out to the main road. But here's a cool little video of the whole event from start to finish, and right down to how I finished the repair. And if you have a Borgeson steering shaft out there in your TJ, you may want to look at this because you may want to pin yours just so this doesn't happen to you. All right, let's get this started.
Now I'm on another call. We got to go down by Lake Powell. We've got to circle all the way around the Abajos, which is what's on fire with the Babylon fire. Go down there, get the car, get the rig, bring it out, throw it on the trailer, and then haul it to Hanksville, and then come back around. And it says if everything goes straight, I should be there around 9 to 9:30. Hopefully they make it to the main road and I can just not have to go all the way in to get them. I don't know. It's gonna be crazy. Anyway, mountains over there that are really smoky. Can't really see them, make them out, but those are the Abajos. That's what's on fire for the Babylon fire. I believe the Babylon fire at the moment is the biggest one in the country. Pretty sure, I think it's over 100,000 acres that it's burned. It's just ridiculous. So that over there is Colorado, and there is a fire burning over there. This Babylon fire is right over here. You can see smoke, but so I'm now about an hour from my shop, and we got about an hour, a little over an hour to go to get to where they are. They made it to the pavement, so this is going to be a super simple, just drive it on the trailer and take off. We weren't sure that their little jerry-rigged fix was going to drive it out, so I brought Mini. Now it turns out I could have just brought the aluminum trailer and made this a lot faster, a lot easier on the truck. Just a long drive because I'm going to drive around this way and then pick them up and then drive down to Lake Powell, cross Lake Powell, and then head over to Hanksville and drop them off at their truck there in Hanksville. And then I'll circle back around to I-70 and come around from the north back into Moab. So pretty sure that's going to be late tonight, so that's why I threw it on the race trailer, so that I have the camper in case I want to sleep tonight instead of just drive all night. So I was slightly planning ahead for this. All right, so like I was saying, I threw the Jeep on because I was pretty sure I was going to have to. You're gonna love this fix. I'm already excited. Look at that. Look at that. Had a golf tee shoved in there.
I don't even golf.
Hey.
I picked it out of a fire pit on a cliff out in the Maze District.
Oh yeah, right there.
And I stuck it in my tire carrier on a wrap of rope I have back there.
Right.
And I was like, I think I got something. I got lots of tools in here. I think she would have drove us back to Hanksville, but I was worried about it letting go going down the road.
Oh yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna move Mini forward. We'll drop some ramps and we will get Good. Roll back just a hair.
Just a hair?
Right there. Make sure these go up.
Well, Michael, we had a snafu today.
Little one.
Let me show you the steering linkage. It's hard to see, but let me see if we can get down in there. You see that little silver thing there? Well, that nut to the top right, that shaft popped out of there. Don't know why it popped out of there, but it popped out of there. Well, to keep it in there, the slip shaft, which is where that rubber boot is right there, where we're looking at, right there, was needed to be locked in place. So how did we lock it in place? If you see it, you see it. You see that golf tee? Well, I don't golf, but we were out the other day, a couple days back, I don't even know. And I looked down in an old fire pit up by a cliff somewhere where we were looking for views. And there was a damn golf tee down in there. And I picked it up and it was like bamboo. And I stuck it in the freaking, this rope knot I have in the back tire carrier. And I thought, it might come in handy. Yeah. I whittled it down. We wedged it up in the groove. And then cinched a set screw down on it super tight. And it made it 14 miles out of here. We were 14 miles up over that right there. Back at Lake Powell swimming. Hey, Michael, what'd we find?
Found the water.
Lake Powell.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I didn't think we were ever going to. It was some interesting four-wheeling. We made it though. Blue notch. And now we're waiting on Rory, Irish, to get here and pick us up and load us on the trailer, take us back to Hanksville. I truly think the Jeep would make it back to Hanksville, but if that golf tee would fail, you have no steering. The steering wheel just spins. We tried 3 fixes. This is the 3rd fix, and like you lose all your steering. So even if we were going 25 mile an hour down the road with our hazards on and something went sideways and a car coming at us or a truck with a boat on it going to Lake Powell, yeah, it's not worth it. So here we are. Look at the view. It's a beautiful view.
Lovely.
It's nice and warm. It's not terrible. So, all right, now you know. There you go. She's loaded up and we're headed back to Hanksville. Thank you, Rory. Alrighty, we started disassembling the Jeep here. Took a bunch of stuff off to get down there at the steering shaft. You can see there's the end coming off the steering box, and down there's the bearing mount on the frame. And then up there, I don't know if you can see, but yeah, right there, there's where it goes into the firewall. And so anyways, right there, if you see that button area right there, that's where the golf tee was wedged up in. And what it did is it kept things from sliding. So let me go over here and show you. What we got going on. So here's the shaft here. So this is going to the steering box, that universal knuckle on the steering box. This is down there. Here's my bearing block. That is an 1.125" bore that fits this 1.125" tube on the top of this shaft of this Borgeson shaft, the lower shaft. And this is the upper shaft. So right here, let me go over here. This groove right here is where this golf tee, I don't know if you can see here. We're going to try to get as detailed here as we can so I can document all this. Maybe down the road it might help somebody. But see, I shaved that
I shaved that golf tee off right there, shoved it up in there, wedged it, and then you can see the witness mark where the set screw came down and wedged it in there. And what that did is that kept this shaft, there's a compression spring right here, that when it goes up in that double D slide, just kind of keeps it tight. But that is designed to be able to move back and forth, and that set screw, you put a little tension on it just to keep things, you know, where you kind of want them. But here's the problem. Okay, so see this right here, this double D shaft on the end of this U-joint right here, this is supposed to be permanently, you can see where the weld failed right there, permanently fixed up in there. That weld failed and it came out of here. So as we were driving, this was up in here like this. I must be upside down. This was up in there like that. That weld failed, and then the shaft popped out like this. Well, we couldn't get it to stay in there, so that's where the golf tee fix came into play. We were able to slide this together like that, and the golf tee held it in there and kept it from coming back out. It worked. It got us out. So let me start tearing this apart. So what you're seeing here is, this is the lower Borgeson steering shaft for a TJ coming off the gearbox down here, and this is the bearing block that goes on the frame mount. Okay, this spherical bearing mount, I upgraded this, and the inside of this bore is 1 1/8 inches, and these set screws right here, they just tighten down onto the surface of the shaft, and that just keeps it, you know, in place. Well, I'm going to take those out and slide this shaft out, and I think my ultimate fix is, see, you can see it doesn't look like there was much weld going on right there. Flip this over, and right there, I don't know if that was a spot weld or what, but that failed on me. So that spot weld is going to get turned into a drilled hole with a tapped 1032 set screw through the whole complete distance of that. So I have an 1 inch long set screw, so we're going to pin it in place, and then we don't have to worry about it failing. But that could have been bad going down the highway if that popped out. So let's get after this. Okay, so you can see the witness marks here and here, and that's from the set screws on this bearing block tightening down onto this, which that isn't going to hurt nothing. That just keeps this shaft centered in there and allows things to rotate the way they're supposed to be. So that's totally normal. But let's see if we can look down in here. I'm going to get a flashlight. All right, so we got the flashlight set up in here to look down in this D. So there is the top side of that double D, and that would represent the opposite side of this. So that must be this side right here, okay? And now we'll flip that shaft over to represent this welded side right here. And let's see here. There we go. See it? There's your spot weld. There's what failed. All right. And like I said, there is the saving grace. The fix. The fly in the ointment, per se. Thank God for that tea. So I just removed the set screws, and you can see. So, yep, that was fine. And that wasn't. It's always something. So here we go.
This is kind of interesting. There's your shaft. So this is the way it came out, you can see, and there's the witness mark and there's the weld. It goes back in fine, but if you rotate it 180 degrees, it has interference. I do not know for the life of me why this wasn't pinned from the factory and why they would use a weld to hold that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with weld, but I would at least like to see some weld on the outside there. I tell you what, a roll pin through there would have been, tack weld it, put a roll pin through it, tack weld it from this side, put a roll pin through the two flats. I wouldn't be having this conversation with this video camera right now, and we wouldn't have a story from Utah. All right, everybody, I'm gonna fix this the way I think it needs to be done. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into rocket science, because I'm very good at turning simple tasks into very complicated tasks. 55 years of doing it. So what I want to do is get a depth on this shaft right here, and that is going to tell me alright, 1.25 inches. So what I know is from here to here is 1.25 inches. So now I'm going to put this into here to where it stops, and then if I come in here and make a mark right here, so that little scribe mark right there represents the end of my double D. Now I can go between here and here and pick a point to drill and tap it. So what I'm going to do with there is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to measure my unpainted section, which is 3/4 inch. So I want to come back half of that distance, which would be 3/8, and I want to put a hole right about there. And so to do that, like I said, it's not rocket science, but I'm good at turning it into rocket science. So half of 3/4 is 3/8. 3/8 is 375. There we go. So let's see here. 375 is right there. Now, coming down through my center line, we're just gonna, I got the calibrated eyeball. I just got my eye calibrated, Dad, so we're good. Don't worry about it. We're gonna go right there. So X marks the spot. So X, like I said, this represents the end of my double D. This 3/8 mark represents the halfway mark between this end and this end right here, so that when we drill and tap, it will go roughly right through that area right there, right into the meat of everything. Do you like it, Dad? Do you think it'll work?
Yep.
Pop says it'll work. We're gonna do her. All right, let's drill and tap a hole.
So what I'm doing here is I mixed up some 5-minute JB Weld epoxy, and I put it down into the mating parts. So I did the double D, and I did the inside of the double D, and the thought being is I get everything pushed together here and get it right where I want it, and then I let that set up, and then once it sets up, then I can do my drilling process and tapping process without that shaft moving in there. And it actually worked out really well. So you can see here I drilled my hole, and it was a number 7 hole, so that's what you need for a 1/4-20 tap. And then I was able to tap it down through here with you know, the proper way of tapping, you know, what is it, 1 turn forward and a 1/2 turn back or something, or you know how you just in and out, you don't want to force it, because the last thing you want to do is snap a tap off down in there, and then I'd have all kinds of problems going on. So we got her tapped out really good, and everything worked well. I used a little fluid film for lubrication down through there, and everything was awesome. I cleaned it all up, then went over and I grabbed the set screw, the stainless set screw. I grabbed a chamfer tool, and I chamfered both sides of the hole so that there was no burr or anything, and it worked out great. And then I was able to clean it all up and run the set screw down in there after I cleaned everything out. I cleaned everything out real good and made sure that everything was cool, and the old set screw worked just like a charm. And thread her down in there. Look at this, look at this. Everything's happy. I'm happy. It's looking really good.
Well, there you go, everybody. So you can see the ends through there. I am totally through this particular material right here. This is just a outer tube to get the diameter for the bearing, and she is threaded through this, through this, through this. I believe it is done the way it should have been done from the factory that I bought it from. But you know, there's one way to look at it. There's the right way, there's the wrong way, and there's the potsy way over engineered, over thought way. So we went with option C. What do you think? Alrighty, we're starting to put her back together here. And as you can see down in here, so this is my spherical bearing block, and it's bolted with some spacers that I made, cut on a CNC machine. Anyways, it has 1 1/8 ID. This has 1 1/8 OD. And what I've done here, I don't know if you can see or not, but by golly, hard to get. There we go. The set screws, the 5/16 set screws, and the jam nuts are all tightened down. Everything's tightened down. This guy's got to go back in here, and you can see, there we go. There's my set screw. So there's the collar of the bearing, and then this goes back in under here. This is really fun to do with holding the camera and try to pull it into spot. Looky there. There we go. So that's under there, and then I can tighten those set screws right there on that collar. And then down front, that guy goes into the steering box. So we're slowly getting it, and once I get it all done, then the spherical bearing block right there, I tighten these up, and that holds it into position after I rotate it a couple times, make sure everything self-aligns. So there you go. We have it torqued in the front there. Everything's cinched down, set screws, lock nuts, little set screw right there, holding things into place. Going into the spherical bearing block. I kept things loose before I tightened it up, and I rotated this. Once I got it in there, I rotated the shaft back and forth, 2 rotations, 1 rotation left, 1 rotation right, and that got things aligned, and bada bing, bada boom. I know, let's see if we can get down in here. So you can see that set screws captured underneath that collar of that bearing. Everything's torqued, and it goes up to here. And that little button set and screw is set down. So, all right, I think we're back in business, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. It is officially potsyized. Wow. That was a long time coming. Should have done that the first time around, but I'd have never thought that that was stake welded. It is what it is. Have a good evening.